Okay, my outstanding friends, another shocker du jour. What are we looking at right there? What do you see? Well, you see a pile of little tiny balls. Let's focus in on that. And you're wondering what this could possibly be. It's up on Mars. And they are on Mars. There's no erosion on Mars whatsoever. That's why I know that all of these pictures that I will show you are from Mars. There's no water erosion whatsoever. It's simply dust. That cannot happen here on Earth. I know they say, oh, that must be on Devon Island or something. No, they practice in places on Earth that are similar to Mars because it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. Only here on Earth we have water erosion. They do not. Now, I know what that is. Okay, my friends, no sense in dragging this out forever. This is the specimen that they found on Mars, and they can't explain it. It's sort of an out-of-place pile of balls, little tiny balls. I'll show you this in a very close-up shot. But this is the big news that they have no idea what this is. This is at Jezero crater up on Mars. And I know it's Mars because there is no erosion whatsoever by water. It's just dusted. That's how I know when I see Mars landscape. It's just basically dust with no water erosion whatsoever. That cannot happen on Earth. So we saw it in its form here out in the middle of nowhere land, just laying there. Now, what is it when we get up close to it? Here it is. And here, let's see what they say. Scientists have named this rock St. Paul's Bay and described it as a shocking. Alright, so we know we've got this rock. And it's in the middle of just dusted stuff. So this is on Mars, there's no question. You cannot get this kind of a texture on Earth. It just doesn't happen because you have water sooner or later and it erodes something. This is just dust, there's no water. That they can't explain. I think I can. Now this is a close-up of it. And he's got a little shot in the middle of the whole thing. And here's how I explain it. Scientists have named the rock St. Paul's Bay and described it as shocking. There's nothing else like it in the surrounding area. What it's made of, how it formed, and how it got there are all mysteries. Well, I love a good mystery. Now, this is 1 centimeter distance. It's crystalline minerals comprising clusters of spheres, all these little balls. We're going to get a real closer look at it. They're known as botryoidal formations here on Earth. Botryoidal formations here on Earth. And it's common for many minerals with a well-understood formation mechanism. No, that's not. They don't understand it at all. That's why we already know about this. But how did this rock get out there? We know what kind of rock it is and everything. It's all very well understood, but it's not understood. I can show you why it's not understood. That's biology. All right, these are Moki marbles. They call these okay, this is kind of funny. Moki marbles are not botryoidal minerals, although they are formed by iron minerals, specifically hematite and geotite, which can sometimes exhibit botryoidal textures. Moki marbles are iron concretions, formed when iron minerals precipitate around a nucleus of sand within Navajo sandstone. They're everywhere. It's not just Navajo sandstone, resulting in spherical or oblong shapes. Those are biological, and so are the botryoidal minerals. Okay, we got a lot of balls. These are iron concretions. They call them Moki marbles. They're everywhere in the world. They're just everywhere. Some of them are absolutely enormous. Some of them are very small, but they are literally everywhere. And they're on Mars too. Now, they say these are iron concretions and are not botryoidal minerals. However, these are actually biological, and so are the botryoidal ones. And I'm going to show you exactly what they are. It's going to blow your mind. Alright, so here's what they're saying. They're saying that these are botryoidal. Shocking. Nothing like it around that area. Just this big glob of this botryoidal stuff. Well, let's look at the botryoidal stuff a little closer. Alright, now check this out real close. They look like little blueberries. Look at the little dot on them. Virtually all of them have that. Some of them are turned the other way, but I'm sure they have that dot on the other side. See? I mean, they're literally everywhere. What would cause that? Now, the other thing is, what is this stuff in between these botryoidal things? It looks like red clay. It does to me. And then what is this? It looks like a little tube sticking out of there. All quite interesting. And that looks like a little tube as well. That doesn't look like a botryoidal ball. It looks like a tube with a hole in it. And, you know, what can I say? That's what they look like. Now, so what we got these botryoidal blueberries. Now, can we match that to anything biological? I say yes, we can. And this is going to freak you out, did me. Alright, this is just a glob of stuff. It's laying on the top of all the rest of this stuff, and it's completely out of place. Now, as I have told you, Mars was hit by Venus, and all of the biology, which is just enormous biology, just like here on Earth, there was giants, there was all kind of things, got splattered. That, my friends, is a ball of fat. You say, oh, come on, you really lost it. No, no, no. Not only is it fat, that's brown fat. There's two different types of fat. I'm not kidding. I'm going to show you. That is brown fat. And that must have been some gigantic kind of heavy guy. Or actually, the brown fat is good for it. That's where your energy is, apparently. It just came up just recently. A few months ago, they started talking about brown fat. That's the first time I heard them talking about brown fat, I think, forever. You see this? This is the regular type of fat. And that stuff's hard to get rid of. This is the brown fat. You see it? A light microscope image of white adipose tissue and brown. Adipose tissue means fat. And yes, there they are with the little holes and the little balls with the holes in it. That's what it is. See it? That's fat. And that guy must have got exploded, or whatever it was. I imagine fat in all creatures is pretty similar, but the brown fat is something almost pretty new they've been talking about. See, here it is right here. The talk about brown fat revolves around its potential role in burning calories and improving metabolism, making it a focus for research into obesity and metabolic disorders. You know, with all this new injectable diet things, you know, this brown fat has come up. Anyway, brown fat, unlike white fat, breaks down blood sugar and fat molecules to generate heat, and scientists are exploring ways to activate or increase it to combat obesity. All these little red dots around in here are mitochondria and energy cells, and there's a lot of blood circulating around these little balls of fat. These are just one big globs of fat and very little. It's hard to burn that up. This gets burnt up much quicker, but it's still fat. It's just, we call it brown fat. When you get way down into an electron microscope, you can see there's just a bazillion layers of tissue. And you get down into these little fat cells, and you can see, the reason I'm showing you this, you see how they line up? In this, you can see a lot of patterns of how they line up in a way. Now, the same thing happened on the ones up in Mars. You see this? That is basically like a line of those balls. The other one had lines going everywhere. This has some here, some there, here, there. But this is just an exploded ball of fat. That's what it is. And it's laying on basement skin. The stuff that was under it was basement skin. You know, I think this is basement layer of skin, but I'm really not sure, to be honest with you. But I do know that that is the brown fat. And that, you know, they look like little blueberries with those little tiny holes in them. That's exactly identical to what it is. This is it. It's a brown fat. And they're all these little balls, and they have all these little holes in them. If it was the white fat, you wouldn't have the holes. Now these are the Mars blueberries. This, they say, oh, this is different. These are concretions, iron concretions, the same as the Moki marbles here on Earth. They are not these other things like that fat. And I can agree with this. These are different. These are tendon emplacements, little tiny tendon straps, and they have straps running from every one of these locked in place, and you can move your skin around. And these have eroded all the way down. This is the basement layer of skin, that I'm certain of. And that everything is eroded away and left just the balls. And that is, these are identical to the Moki marbles. They agree with that. Nobody's disagreeing with it. They just say, oh, they're just concretions. It just happens. These are the Moki marbles. This is here in Utah and Arizona and all out in the West, because there's nothing more than a gigantic thing of skin, and it's eroded away, and these balls are just floating around by themselves now. Over in the United Kingdom, the ocean is wearing away at this skin and this interstitium right here, which is dropping these balls down. These balls were in that wall, and they'd stretch this way and that way, and then they'd all come back, and now they're dropping down into the mud that they have created because of the eroding flesh. That flesh is eroding, making this mud, and the balls that were in here are down here. And that's the skin, and here's what it looks like anatomically. There's the skin, here's the red fleshy gooey stuff, and there's balls all over the place. And those balls are anchored in there so that you can pull this way and push down and pull up, and these bags of water, you know, they're fluid, go all different ways. The brown part is a spring. So the ball is anchored to the spring. Everything will come back to a sort of a pattern, but it can pull and stretch. And I can show you that on Mars, because this Mars Morse code is this. Don't forget, if it eroded away all that, you would have this right here. This is exactly what you get. The balls just drop down because they're hard, very hard. The pinky stuff is very floppy. The brown stuff is a little tougher. It's strappy. Now let's see that on Mars. I can show you this. Where do you see this? It's stunning, absolutely stunning. See that? That's on Mars. They call it the Mars Morse code. This is 2015 they took these pictures, when Curiosity first went up there. All the pictures I'm showing you basically came from 2015, except these most recent ones that are a ball of fat. This is pinched skin. That's pinched together skin. You see the strapped out? The strap is stretched out. That's the ball where an anchor would be. It's stretched, stretched, stretched. And this is stretched so much that the erosion has worn off the straps. So you end up with the balls. Those are the Moki marble. Mars blueberries are Moki marbles, same thing. Again, not a bit of erosion here. That's why I know this is Mars. So don't tell me this is not Mars. I understand this stuff. Trust me, I understand it, and that's Mars. This is what the skin should look like until it gets squished and, you know, ripped to all this. And this is in the process of just continuously, like, slowly sandblasting the top off of this. And eventually, at some point, way down the road, you're going to end up with just these balls, which are the Moki marbles, Mars blueberries. And this is why you can have some gigantic balls of fat laying around, because something hit this. Well, I know what hit it. It was Venus. This is all recorded. This is in historical records of these ancient texts everybody's laughed at. They said Venus was a fiery comet, hit Mars, and wiped it out. And if anything here with a big ball of fat on it was there, it's going to get smacked all over. Who knows where it goes? And one a big ball end up laying in the Jezero crater. Anyway, that's what happened when this event occurred. And after that, everything basically preserved, because there was no more erosion. There was, it preserved like it did here on Earth, only no erosion. My claim is there is nothing but biology, and Mars is no different than everywhere else. Everything is biology, as I can determine. Even Bennu, they came back with the samples from Bennu, and it is Sarcomeres from a heart, because Bennu is a heart. And these are what Sarcomeres look like, and Mars has them all over itself. These are Sarcomeres. They're dusted off. See how, again, Mars means no erosion, just dust. These are all the connective tissue parts of the Sarcomeres. The red stuff is just dusted out. It's very dry, and it just dusted out and left these structures. They say this took millions of years to form all these little tiny slabs. No, this was a creature that died when the great impact happened. And there's also the Mars crab. Now, don't forget, this is on Mars. Now, here's the Mars crab. Where did you go? Here it is. They sent pictures of this back, too. This is 2015. There's the Sarcomeres. Same muscle Sarcomeres. And that is this, which is an artery. That's an artery. These are the little blood vessels that go in to service the muscle. This is muscle. It takes a lot of blood. And this is just, again, dusted off, no erosion. That right there, the top one, I believe is the vein coming back and the artery going down. And the muscle absorbing all the red blood. That's the Mars crab. That's NASA. I think this is either 2014 or 2015. And I contacted them about all this stuff. I said, this is all biology. I knew exactly what it was because I was deep into the mud fossils. And it's still what it was now is what it was then. See that? There's another one. This is up on Mars somewhere. And these are tendon fibrils, just like the same ones we have here on Earth. They're all over. Because everything's biological. And it was just absolutely enormous at one time. There were giants in the Earth in those days, and there was more giants after that. And it all relates to God and gods and myth and all that stuff. It's just what it was. We got to look into it deeper now because it's been validated. All of those ancient stories were not just things made up to scare kids. You see this? They've got some sample rocks up there that they collected and stored away up on Mars. They want to go back and pick them up. And they were talking at one point there was going to be $11 billion. They wouldn't get them back until 2040. I just showed you what they are. They're just nothing more than biology. And I have so much stuff here. I have meteorites here that are body parts. And they all are. The same thing with Bennu. Bennu is nothing more than a heart in space. And they cannot accept the reality of the situation. That's the really problem. See, this billions or well over $1 billion spent to get this. This is the white stuff. It's the phosphate surprise. This is one of the chunks of stuff that they got from Bennu. They brought it back to Earth last year. And here's the two phosphate layers and the Sarcomeres in between them. There's layers of phosphate layer, which is the membrane. Then you got the sarcomere, which is the blocky stuff. Then you got the membrane again. Then you got the sarcomere, the blocky stuff, and it's just over and over and over and over. They came back with a chunk. I never expected them to come back with the muscle. I knew they were going to come back with blood, but when they came back with the muscle, it blew my mind. Because that is exactly, this is a heart. This is from a heart attack patient here on Earth that died from a heart attack. That's what these are the phosphate layers. This is the Sarcomeres. Same as the things I just showed you up on Mars and everywhere else. There it is right there, the phosphate layers. Sarcomeres in between, the blocks. And it is a heart, because you can actually see it. All you have to do is look at it so you can tell it's a heart. There it is right there. These are the heart valves. You see these? They have these big heart valves. And this is good size. When they landed on it, they thought they were just going to grab a rock on the top. Because they were wondering, well, what are these boulders? What's all these boulder-looking things? Why has that got there? So they were going to grab something and see what they could find. And when they did, they went way down inside, because they went right down through really like blood, dusty blood. They got down and grabbed a chunk of heart muscle. And here's what hearts look like. There's another one. That's psyche, the same thing. These are the heart valves. And you can see them very, very, very easily. And they came back with the heart sarcomeres. Right there, that's it. And they looked at it, they found all the amino acids, everything that you expect to find. 16,000 organic molecules that are in us. They found the amino acids, the nucleobases of DNA and RNA. They found all that stuff. They found 16 of the amino acids out of the 20. It's all there. It's everything. And everything is clay, which is the muscle is clay. Muscle is mud is eroded muscle. It's eroded muscle. It's clay. And the redder it is, the redder the muscle was. What I've just shown you is all biology here. Everything I just showed you is biology. All of these muscle sarcomeres, Morse code is nothing more than interstitium. And here's what they're saying. They went up there for boulders and beyond. We're going to figure all this out. And this was National Science Foundation. We funded all this to the tune of billions of dollars, or at least way over $1 billion. And they cannot deal with the reality of what they got in their hands. So this is where the real problem lies. And all the money they spent going to Mars, and they still, well, we got to go back and pick up something for $11 billion? I don't think so. I think we got a real serious issue here with NASA not being able to see reality. I reported all this stuff to them 10 years ago. And I know they got the information, because they ended up eventually, Yale said, yes, this is all can happen, but it only happens with slimy little creatures. And NASA paid for that research, by the way. I don't know how much they gave Yale. But, all of that stuff was basically the exact same thing I said to Yale. I said, this is how this happens, this is how it preserves, and all that. And they said, yes, it can happen. They're talking about salty floodwaters on Earth, salty, silica-rich, exceptional preservation due to those conditions. And Harvard just said, yes, the oceans did boil long ago, and at this time, all these things did get preserved. My stuff is preserved so flawlessly, it's amazing, and it's because of the conditions. Even the feathers in my goose here. Caesar. I've got things that nobody has. And that's a dragon scale. From some, it had to be a pretty good sized dragon. And all the things that they wrote about need to be taken into account again. So, I'm just telling you, it's time we have to rethink and relook, and even under the Giza pyramids, we've got this. And I know what that is too, and I'm doing a video on that right now. So, until you look at the Earth 100% as biology, you're missing everything. You're just missing everything. It's just a chunk of fat laying there, brown fat. I can find every single thing that they can present to me. I can tell you where it came from, what the origin was. That's brown fat. And that red stuff is blood. And that stuff transfers energy very quickly. This is all mitochondria and bloody absorbers of energy. And that is a tube, and I believe that's a tube. That would be an artery, that would be a vein, which is clogged up solid. Arteries end up being open. So I'm going to make a declaration. Mudfossil University declares that Mars is 100% biological, and the blueberries, the Sarcomeres, the Interstitium, the Mars crab, the tendon straps, all undeniable, absolutely undeniable. So until it's examined and being able to be talked about, and I'm blocked basically everywhere. That's why all I do is I just keep doing them over and over and over. I'm just going to keep doing it until somebody says, you know, we got to stop and pay attention to this. This is serious. This is not a joke. And even to go back to here, all of these things here on the side of the Nile River, I just did a thing about that. They thought they were tree trunks. Those are dragon scales. And Typhon is attacking the fish in the desert in Morocco, just exactly, or somebody said, oh, it's Algiers. I don't know where it is. It's right on the North Africa. And it runs all across North Africa. And he was attacking the fish. Just exactly what was written in Apollodorus 1.6.3. So all of these things were written about, 100% of them. The giants in the earth in those days, they had battles in the heavens, and hearts and things are flying around in heaven, and all of the parts out there, Comet 67P, another comet, Oumuamua, all of them, every one of them, is a body part. And I can show this in extreme detail. Plus, all the astronauts say space smells like steak. They come in and they take their suits off and it smells like steak. And it's nothing more than polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, which is burnt metals and blood. That's what it is. It's in space. It's just like it came off your gas grill. All right? That's what we got. Thank you. I love you all.